My name is Andrew, and for the past few years I've been working as a pizza delivery guy. It's not the most glamorous job, but it pays the bills, and I've grown accustomed to the routine. Each day feels like a blur of navigating through traffic, ringing doorbells, and exchanging pizzas for cash. But there was one particular shift that I'll never forget. It started like any other day. I hopped into my car, a battered old sedan that had seen better days, and set off for the pizzeria. As I arrived, I could already see the stacks of pizza boxes waiting to be delivered. I grabbed my delivery bag, checked the orders on my phone, and headed out. The first few deliveries went smoothly. I made small talk with customers, exchanged pleasantries, and pocketed a few tips along the way. But as the day wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Maybe it was just fatigue setting in, or perhaps it was just a slow day. Little did I know it was about to take a drastic turn. It was late afternoon when the next order came in. I was already thinking about calling it a day and heading home when the notification popped up on my phone. It was an address on the outskirts of town, a good 20-minute drive from where I was. I hesitated for a moment, weighing the pros and cons of taking the order. But in the end, the promise of a few extra bucks won me over, and I accepted. The GPS led me down winding country roads, past fields and forests, until I finally arrived at the address. It was a quaint little cottage nestled among the trees, with smoke curling from the chimney. As I parked my car and grabbed the pizza, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled over me. I approached the front door and rang the bell, half expecting nobody to answer. But to my surprise, the door swung open, revealing two elderly women standing on the threshold. They greeted me with warm smiles and invited me inside, offering me a cup of tea while they fetched the money. The inside of the cottage was cozy and inviting, with knickknacks cluttering every surface and the smell of baking bread wafting from the kitchen. The two women ushered me into the living room, where they had already set out a tray of tea and biscuits. As we chatted, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease creeping over me. There was something odd about the way they looked at me, something almost predatory in their gaze. But I brushed it off as nerves and tried to focus on the conversation. Time seemed to stretch on endlessly as we sat there, sipping tea and making small talk. I kept glancing at my watch, itching to make my escape, but the women showed no signs of letting me leave. And then, just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, they dropped the bombshell. "We have a surprise for you," one of the women said, her voice dripping with excitement. "Follow us." With a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, I followed them down a narrow staircase that led to the basement. The air grew colder with each step, and a sense of dread settled over me like a shroud. As we reached the bottom of the stairs, the women suddenly turned and pushed me into the room, slamming the door shut behind me. I stumbled backward, my heart pounding in my chest, as I realized the gravity of the situation. I was trapped. And then, as my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I saw him. A man, tall and imposing, standing in the corner of the room with a menacing grin on his face. My blood ran cold as I realized that I was in serious trouble. Adrenaline surged through my veins as I scrambled to find a way out. I pounded on the door, shouting for help, but there was no response. It was just me, trapped in a cold, dark basement with a dangerous stranger. But I refused to give up without a fight. Summoning every ounce of strength and courage I had, I launched myself at the door, throwing my weight against it with all my might. For a moment it held firm, but then, with a loud splintering sound, it gave way, and I burst out into the open air. I didn't stop to look back. I sprinted up the stairs and out of the cottage, not stopping until I reached my car. With trembling hands, I fumbled for my keys and started the engine, tearing out of there as fast as I could. As I drove away, my mind raced with a million thoughts and questions. Who were those women? What did they want with me? And most importantly, would they come after me again? I didn't have to wait long for an answer. As soon as I was safely out of the woods, I pulled over and dialed 911, my hands shaking as I recounted the harrowing ordeal to the dispatcher. Within minutes, police cars were swarming the area, and I was ushered into the back of one of them for questioning. I told them everything I could remember, from the moment I accepted the order to the terrifying encounter in the basement. The officers listened intently, scribbling notes on their pads as I spoke. When I was finished, they assured me that they would do everything in their power to apprehend the culprits and bring them to justice. And true to their word, they didn't disappoint. Within days, the women were apprehended and charged with kidnapping and assault. It turned out that they had been luring unsuspecting delivery drivers to their home for months, preying on their naivety and vulnerability. As for me, I was hailed as a hero, lauded for my bravery in the face of danger. But deep down, I knew that I was just lucky to have escaped with my life. And as I drove home that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that I would never look at a pizza delivery the same way again.